what do we say? Mastery. Getting shit down to a simple science and getting it together. What's going on, everybody? Welcome. Episode 2 of the Thought You Should Know podcast. Hope y'all enjoyed episode 1. Had a few technical difficulties. Realized after the fact, but then, it's a learning experience. I realized once it was out, I could have easily snatched it down, but then I really listened to it. I'm like, I don't want to take it down. And when I listen back later, I'll see it was just a learning experience, I'm sure. So I was talking to a friend of mine the other day from high school I bumped into. And we were just talking about, just reminiscing on some stuff. We went to a very, very small high school. So in the case of my class in an already small school, we entered the school as the lone freshman class, right? So the school's plan was the following year, they would bring in incoming sophomores and add another class. Yeah, that didn't happen. And then the next year, it didn't happen with the junior class. So naturally, it didn't happen with the senior class. So I think I graduated with about 33 people. So everything that pretty much happened to everybody knew. So he was bringing up just our different relationships with different teachers. So have really love-hate relationship with my teachers. Or most of them had a love-hate relationship with me, I'll say, right? So, I've said before, I'm not a person that ever thought it was cool to play dumb. I wasn't raised to. You know what I'm saying? I was always at least book smart. I was always a really smart guy. I excelled in school my entire life, at least academically. So when certain things came about, my teachers would always be pissed that I was involved in certain things because, naturally, some of them not being from where we're from and different things like that, their go-to line was, "You're too smart for this," all the time. So that was typically their pushback with anything. So when anything happened of a group dynamic and they assumed or heard I was involved in it, every time it fell back on me. So, and because I was always loud, a loud projecting voice. Me and most of my brothers do. I grew up in a house with a lot of kids. You ain't speak loud enough. You ain't hear. You ain't being heard enough to get anything done. But I had a teacher my senior year. So my senior year, I literally went like this. I went from school to football practice. I went from football practice to drum practice. This was every day. So I left the house at about 7:10. I got back in the house at about 10 p.m. Football was every weekday. Drumming was 3 days a week. So this was the better part of every day. So my senior year, the first half of it, I did absolutely no homework. And when I say absolutely none, I mean literally zero. A project will get done. Homework, absolutely not. And in fairness, I blame the teachers. So every single one of them had their grading system to a point where homework was either 10% of your grade or 15% of your grade. So I'm figuring, so what are the other components of your grade? Testing quiz and classwork. I'm like, so you telling me at the worst I can get a 90 in this class if I do zero homework? If I get 99 to 100s and everything else? Like I said, I was a pretty book smart guy. One semester, I literally got straight B's doing no homework. And one of the teachers was a fairly old school teacher, and they were pretty egregious at it, right? So I exaggerate zero. So this teacher was so like old school and was like, yeah, he's not doing this again. Not in my class. They changed the grading metric for the following semester. I don't know if she did this in every class. She did it with my class, though, specifically for me, and eventually told me years later. Homework became 50% of your grade the following semester. And I'm like, so needless to say, I did homework for one class the next half of the year. And so for that class, all right, got that out of the way. But that was a different case. That was like a AP calculus course. So that was advanced placement classes. So she just like, come on, man. Like you here, like you didn't even have to take this advanced placement class. I actually did, by the way. The school made me do it because it looked well. It looked good for the school when you have such a little amount of students. Anybody that you can get into something like that that you know is going to pass, you're going to put them in. So I actually didn't have a choice. But needless to say, next semester I got it done. So the second semester for one of the teachers, towards the end of the semester, I'm crushing everything in her class except for homework, of course. So she just, even with what her grading metric and her, what is that you get, in her syllabus at the beginning of the semester said, she just was like adamant, like with 2 weeks left and like for grading for the year, that I shouldn't pass her class. So she pulls me to the side one day, and she's dead serious. And you don't realize when you're in high school and you're younger how young some of these teachers are, right? So I know now, based on the fact that her and I are friends on Facebook, won't say her name, of course, but she had to be like 26, 27 at the time. So she was like really like disturbed because she's like, this guy like does phenomenal in my class. She does none of my homework. What does he not respect me? I'm assuming that was like what her feelings was, because I can tell when we had this conversation, her feelings was hurt. So as she talks to me, she's like, Sadiq, like, you don't even attempt to do homework for my class. And I didn't want to tell her, that would have been just me being an ass to say, well, if you want me to be tech, I'll do homework for no class. But I was going to keep it with her. It's like, why won't you even like, I know for a fact I've caught people in the class. Like there's some people who copy homework off other people in the morning before they come in, just that don't want to do it either, but they'll at least copy it off somebody. And if they get caught, they get caught. But you won't even make an attempt. Why? And I just told her blatantly, I said, I'm not copying work off nobody that's not smarter than me. And no shot at anybody in this room. Nobody in this class is smarter than me, in my opinion. So she just went deadly silent rather. So like she just kind of walked off and I left the room. So the grades went in that week. That conversation, for whatever reason, resonated with her in a way that she actually gave me a B+ in homework for the semester. No exaggerating. Like, I was so shocked when the grade came out and I had an A- in her class. I'm like, this is impossible with 0% homework. Sometimes, man, you just gotta be honest with people. Most of the time, you just gotta be honest with people. When you shoot people straight, it's like they can respect it or they won't. In a case like that, I did not deserve it, though. I did not deserve it. But I was at least honest. And it worked out in my favor. But I learned once I got to college, that was really detrimental, though, to moving forward in progressive ways, getting things done. Like, me being smart, I guess, up until a certain age, definitely crippled me as far as progressing as fast as I should have in certain aspects of life, without question. When I got to college, I realized, and I was told this before college, but you got to live it. Yo, there is nobody there to hold your hand. And a lot of people held my hand in high school. And I realized, and at the time, it was mutually beneficial to the school that I was there. They needed me there. Standardized testing through the roof. SAT scores through the roof. All the things that reflect back on them well through the roof. So they really probably couldn't kick me out. So I was never really reprimanded for being lazy there. I wasn't lazy in life, but I was definitely lazy in school. So when I got to college, it was just like, yo, you don't do your homework, you won't pass. Point blank, period. And if you don't do your homework, 9 times out of 10, you're not going to have any clue of what's going on in class. Like literally none. And I'm talking about after like a week. Because you got to go on, you got to read chapters. You got to do what you need to do. So it's just, I have had so many kids. Like my first go around to college stank. Like once I realized, so I went into Penn State trying to get into the Smith School of Business to be an accountant, right? So this is one of the most prestigious business schools in the country that's not an Ivy League or private university. So naturally, they get ridiculous amount of applicants a year. So the criteria was so stringent going in. I think coming out of my first semester, I had to have, what is a perfect grade point average, Scotty? A 4.0? Mm-hmm. Had to come out of the first semester with a 3.8, the first semester. I mean, you're coming in your first semester out of high school. So they're basically, you're set up to fail. I mean, you can say, oh, no, you just apply yourself. No. Sometimes it takes a while to catch your stride. And even in, like, a 3.8 is an excellent grade point average. You could have did well and still not gotten to the program. So with that being said, I definitely didn't get a 3.8. So once I realized coming out of my first year, I wasn't getting into the business school, I left. I dropped out. So that was just, but that was more so based on not the laziness aspect. Once I realized I wasn't going to Smill, I'm like, so now what am I going to do? What do I want to do rather? And rather than try and figure it out while going to school for nothing, but paying a lot of money for it, I left and said, I'm going to figure this out. You know, I eventually went back after 6 years, but I had some direction there, and I didn't have all that debt of going to school for nothing and basically, you know, would have pretty much got a degree in general fucking studies or liberal arts or something just because I went to school while figuring it out and never figured it out. It has been studies done by like Pew Research Center and Harvard and some other places where it's like scientifically proven that most people in college do not know what they really want a degree in until they're a junior, which makes sense in life and thought because what age are you a junior? 20 going on to 21?
Yeah, about that.
Just about that?
Yeah, just about that.
What do you really know about what you really want to do in life? If you reflecting back now, people my age, people older, even people who are just younger, what did you really know about what you wanted to do in life at 18, 19? Now, I have some cases where some people did. You know, I got some people who are entertainers, some people who are pro athletes now. But y'all dedicated, a lot of y'all dedicated y'all younger years to working towards that. A lot of people went through school, went through some processes, and it's just like, you still was figuring things out. And then you had that new experience in college that was nothing like high school, and you're adjusting to living this life, and you don't know. And mommy ain't there to help you, and daddy ain't there to help you. So it's just, it becomes crazy. But you have some people who are just, so I had an epiphany like 2 days ago when I realized I was getting old. I overheard a conversation in Starbucks, and I could tell one of the guys, maybe my age, a little older than me, he's talking to a guy who looked like he's like 20, 21. And everything he said to him, he just had an answer for. And he was like, well, my mentor, this, kept going back to everything the guy said to him. His response, the younger guy's response was, well, my mentor showed me or told me I can do this. And I realized at that moment, this is what old heads were talking about when we were young boys with a know-it-all. Like, really a know-it-all. It hit me that day. A know-it-all is a person that's going to have a young guy who's going to have a young guy, young kid, whatever, woman, male, whatever. A youngin' is going to have an answer for everything that you throw at them, usually with experiences that they heard. And they're going to stand on this shit as if they lived it and it's fact. And I'm talking about in these cases, especially in the case I saw the other day, these weren't his opinions. These were the opinions of someone that he looked up to, that he held on to as the gospel, and was willing to stand on it enough to state it to someone else as if it was fact. That is fucking insane. I'm talking about this dude's talking about investments, all this stuff. And I'm just like, dude, he can be lying. Just because he's your mentor and you look up to him does not mean what he's telling you the truth is true. And even if your mentor has all that he says he has, you're hanging on to his every word so much, he can be lying to you about how he even got to it. I see so many people, man, this influencer culture and things like that, and they're reaching out to these people online and they're attending their fucking, what are they called, master classes and all of these scams that I'm telling you however many part process and how they got to where they at, and they leave out the scamming part. The scamming part is always going to be left out of the mastermind. You know what I mean? They're not trying to get indicted on account of you. And it's just, and I'm not saying all of these, this isn't a universal statement as if all of them are scams and things of that nature, but it's so, it's disgusting to just see people hold on and really kick this gospel as if they see it to other people just because you look up to said person, you're willing to use what they said to you to someone else as if it was your game. Like, that's another thing we gotta stop doing as a society, man. Stop giving game that ain't yours. Stop giving game that ain't yours. Stop telling people how to get their shit together when you ain't got your shit together. It's just, like, I'm not going to put the Young Boys business all the way out there, but we were sitting, 6 feet, socially distant. But nonetheless, we were at the tables, the equivalent of next to each other in the Starbucks. And I heard what he did for a living and everything. And I'm just listening in my head like, yo, how can you even be saying all this? And you talking about how easy it is to do this and how easy it is to do that and what you do and what you did. And it's just like, yo, if it was that fucking easy, you would not be working where you work. You would not be getting up every day to go in there if it's easy to make money. He's talking to the person, the specific instance, and this is about as details I'll give, but the specific thing that he was saying to the person was, oh, well, this is something I'm doing for now, but the crypto market is where it's at, yada, yada, yada. I invested this and I made 20 grand last year. And it was easy. It was easy. What he does for a living, I know for a fact, don't make more than $14 an hour. Know for a fact. It doesn't make more than $14 an hour. I was actually so curious about it that I looked it up. It doesn't make more than $14 an hour. And the person just wouldn't, I could tell the person really, really, really is fond of this young guy. So they really spared him. Or that person spared themselves because they know that they can't handle a certain level of scrutiny. And if they just were honest with him, maybe they're a little more brash than he is. I mean, he's a little more brash than them, and they couldn't handle his response for them being honest with him. But just in fairness, like, if the thing was as fair, as easy as he said it was, there is no way on God's green earth that he was going into that place working 40 hours a week, 5 days. It would be asinine. It would go against any type of logic. If I can make a 20 grand investment, if I know I can make 20 grand in a week, 20 grand in a week for 52 weeks in a year, 100,000?
Yeah. Why wouldn't you?
Why wouldn't you? I wouldn't even, you wouldn't even, this wouldn't even be a discussion. He wouldn't even been having that discussion with that person in there. And it's just, it was painful to hear him responding to everything with an answer, even the things that weren't even questions. And I could see that the person was just so defeated, but they kept trying, So I don't know who the person was to them, but there was definitely some love there, because I would have been done with him within the first 10 minutes. And I'm talking about they were there longer than me, so I don't even want to state how long they were there. I know I was there for about 35 minutes, and they were there when I left too. And he was trying, man. Listen, yo, I'm not telling you not to try with people. They're going to be people you love. And I'm not sure who this person is to them. I'm not sure if they're related or anything. But I know what love looked like. There was definitely some love there, because they were very frustrated. But they refused to give up on that conversation because they wanted to get through to that person. And I'm hoping at some point soon they do. Now, mind you, this was last Saturday, by the way, too. Maybe they've got through to him by the day. Highly doubt it, but maybe they did. But people are a work in progress. When you sculpting something, you got to chip at it a piece at a time. hopefully that's their goal for that person. They're trying to mold them into something or help them get some direction because they know that that person's capable of some great things. And I've had some people. I don't want to tell nobody to give up on nobody because I know for a fact that certain people had gave up on me at certain times in my life. I wouldn't have tried some of the things that I've tried that I'm actually succeeding in now. So, I don't want to be a hypocrite, but the shit is hard, very hard. Speaking of trying things, had some more calls this week. Some great upcoming things with the cycling journey. Don't want to speak on them prematurely. The actual things that I'm going to be doing, but got some great partnership related things coming up. Supposed to be speaking on a fairly prominent sports podcast soon. Actually, not even just a sport podcast, just a lifestyle podcast. I'm going to be on there next week. So once that interview is completed, I'll kind of get into I'll put it out there. I'll blast it for sure. I'll give them the shout out. They've been reaching out for a little bit of time. It was hard for us to coordinate it through some pandemic related things because they're doing things pretty by the book, and I appreciate that as well. But got those things coming up. Cannot wait to share some of these things with you guys. Things are unfolding like I stayed on the internet in a way that I could have never imagined with this. There are things that I put way more time and what I believed was effort out there that I've never ever seen a return like this on, man. So it's just a blessing. It was something that was needed. 2 days ago, when I got one of the calls, I just looked at the date, and the date just looked so eerily familiar. And it made it 11 months since my mom passed. So I was like, I needed to be in something good happened so early in my day before I could really, really pinpoint what that day was, that I was just so in a great space that it didn't even take me but so far down. You know what I mean? So things are progressing, man. So I'll be keeping y'all posted. This is nothing, like I said, this is going to be an ongoing theme throughout. I said that in the intro episode because it's still an ongoing process and it's still very, very, very much fresh. But I see now people are reaching out and different things now because I'm realizing too, yo, man, America back open. America is 100% back open. They posturing right now in Philadelphia, at least. I know it's not like this in Jersey, but I'm pretty sure all the major American cities. New York's been doing it for a while with the vaccination mandates. But I saw a headline earlier. Did you see that headline that that they're taking the mask off in England?
Oh, I saw that. Yeah, I did.
So that was official, right?
That's official.
That's official. It's listen.
I mean, considering like the boosters, double boosters, like fully vaxxed, right?
I mean, we passed the double booster in America now.
We're at 3 times. 3 times booster.
Yeah, 3. Yeah, we 3 times over. They taking the mask off England, man. I told y'all, if it was episode 1 or the intro episode, we gonna be back outside by September. We gonna be very much outside by September, man. Look, I said by the summer, and I'm telling you, you will not have to have a mask on by 4th of July in Philadelphia. I mean, you haven't had to have a mask on in Jersey for a fucking year now. I mean, I know that for sure because when everything was still kind of wild here. I mean, King of Prussia was open, but that's not Philadelphia County. That's Montgomery County. Yo, man, if you went over the bridge, Walt Whitman or Ben Franklin, you would have thought you was in another world. And that's been for over a year now. So it's funny. So they're doing a lot of stuff. That's why I don't watch the news. But I was down bad earlier, and something made me turn on NBC News today at like 7 this morning. And of course, the topic of today and this morning is the Biden presidency's legacy so far a year in. Today made it a year. And of course, they tied so much back. And they basically just put on the video montage of him and everybody in his office is saying, if you're vaccinated, you won't get the virus. If you're vaccinated, you won't get the virus. You're vaccinated, you won't get the virus. And what do we got going on right now? You got NBA players and referees being signed off the street who refuse to be vaccinated because the people who are vaccinated are catching COVID at a rapid rate.
What's it called? Breakthrough case?
Yeah. A breakthrough case. Boosted 10 times over. You got your whole, every little slot on your vax card damn near, on some people's cases, is damn near filled by how many boosters they got. And it's just, it's happening. It's we back. I don't want to be the one to say it that loosely, but we are back. The people who are offended by this, I'm sorry. But I'm just going by what I see. Is they don't care. They're posturing with the vax card being required as a posture, and it's posturing. If I've ever seen it, it's so wild how these things become so divisive. You know, you got I haven't heard so much anti-vaxxer versus vaxxer talk, right? But the people in different cases where the vaccination card is required in Philadelphia now, they're basically hamstringing you. It's like, okay, you're not going to get this. And it's so wild because they'll put you in a place where you can go to the supermarket where there's going to be a shit ton of people around, overexposure to people, overexposure to things. You do not need a vaccination card. But for you to go somewhere and enjoy yourself, you need a vaccination card, which is going to have way less people, you would think, at least, than a supermarket would. And what have you. And all you need, the only requirement is your mask. And now you have the cases where last week the Supreme Court paused the vaccination mandate for large employees if you don't work in healthcare, right? Or I believe private entities as well. So the employees do not have to be vaccinated. But in the case of certain places where those employees don't have to be vaccinated, the patron has to be? Make that make sense. So the place that you have to show a vaccination card to get into, as a patron, to pay for things in there, the people who they are paying to work there now do not have to be vaccinated by law. Listen, man, you can't make this shit up. You can't. It's when it was paused, right? So when the headline came through, when I believe it was Saturday morning, that the Supreme Court had paused it, right? Well, had ruled it out. That they couldn't do it. I'm reading so it says Supreme Court, stops mandate for vaccination for businesses. When you read that, do you even know what that means? Because the first thing I said was, well, does this apply to the people who are trying to go to the places or the employees? I had to go into my phone and look up to see the fact that it was employees. And it doesn't make sense. So I can't come in there and give it to them. But they can bring whatever on the outside, and the place that I'm coming and patronizing, your employee can give it to me. Mm-hmm. And in many of these cases, say if it's a restaurant or something, because that's not healthcare. If I go to these places and I end up sitting at a bar or at the table to eat my food, once I'm at the bar seated or at my table, I can take my mask off. So I can be in here and I have to be vaccinated. And your unvaccinated ass employee can come over to me. Well, has to come over to me by way of the service. Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and can be in with me and whoever I decide to bring's face. And doesn't have to be vaccinated. Make it make sense. If you can make it make sense to me, listen, I got friends that work in healthcare, man. Hopefully y'all listen to the podcast. Listen, Deeq always open to a conversation. DM me. Make it make sense to me. Because I don't have a lot of everything, but I got a lot of fucking common sense. And that don't make any. Just don't. changing gears, man. We're gonna change gears. So, when does something become? When does a fight for justice also cross the line of enabling dumb shit? Right. So let me give credit first before I go in. So Meek Mill and Hove are trying to get a bill passed where the New York courts cannot use a rapper's lyrics against them in criminal court, right? That's commendable. I'm not. I'll clap it up for him on that. But then becomes a chicken or the egg argument too. We know that the criminal justice system is very, very, very unbalanced in how they police certain people. I'm not here to argue it. I don't care what your opinion is about it. It is fact. Numerically, it's fact. So, when do we get to a point where you're like, all right, you know this to be the case. How about you stop rapping about certain crimes? And in a lot of cases nowadays, and I never thought we'd get to this point. And that's how I know I'm getting older too, because now I've seen several generations of rap. When the fuck are y'all gonna stop rapping about crimes you actually committed? Or that your man actually committed? Like time and place. Y'all dropping names. Yo, these Chicago rappers and Florida rappers are insane. Like these 20-year-old young boys are wild. Not only are they not ducking wreck, they naming names of bodies that have dropped. And that people who are in their immediate circle have dropped. And think it's cool. It's fucking baffling to think. Yo, I could never imagine when I was in this very studio 12 years ago, somebody I know going in that studio and talking about somebody that they dropped around the way. And saying, yeah, it's all done. Yeah, bounce that joint out live. Let me get that file. Let me get that MP3. We're gonna shoot a video for this joint on the tube. We're gonna throw it up on the tube next week. Like, that's really what's going on. Like, when the Who I Smoke record came out, I just thought it was like, I just hear the, so I'm just like, on the internet, I didn't even think to go listen to it. I'm not listening to this. I'm not on TikTok. It's a lot of trends that I miss. But when the Who I Smoke thing dropped, it became such a talking point on social media overall. You couldn't escape it if you were on Instagram, Twitter, if you were on anything. And I really went and listened to it. I'm like, yo, this is insanity. And I'm like, these dudes young. Yo, you getting to anything. You're done. What is the dude's name who's in jail now for the who's supposedly killing his man? Is it YNF Melly? Mm-hmm. Yeah, give me that. Give me that. Supposed to have smoked this man and made the song about it?
2 counts first-degree murder.
YNF Melly, right?
Yep.
And when was that? Was that 2019 or
2019?
2019. He's still in jail. And this was supposed to be his man. Listen, man. If that little bit of clout for that little small period of time gets you off to that extent, cool. I hope that 5 minutes of fame is worth them football numbers. Because you getting them. You getting them. No, they throwing out football numbers for everything. At least when you black. I don't get why some of you young boys are in such a fucking rush to go to jail. When you get there for what y'all going up for the shit y'all rapping about, yo, man, you gonna be 23-1. Your time is gonna be miserable. Miserable. You gonna be out of a cell for an hour a day, man. I'm telling you. It's not going to be, it's not what you think it is. But a lot of people's situations, man, they got a false perception of what's going on out here because they talking to their man in there, you know. Even if they holding him down, but they talking to their man in there every day. And because maybe he can handle it and he's talking to them so normally, he's giving them off the impression that this is sweet. And if he could do it, I can do it. Why you want to do it? I guarantee you, you know why your man talking to you every chance he get? He talking to you 3-4 times a week. If you lucky, he getting somebody answering his calls that many times. He talking to you all them days because it fucking sucks in there. He don't want to talk to nobody in there really. He talking to them because he got to. I've never understood it. I've never wanted to be there. The people who I know who have done major time didn't want to be there. Now that they out, they're doing what they have to do to not go back there. It is not where it's at, man. It is not the fucking party. You know what I mean? You got a person telling you every day what time you got to be up, what time you got to go to sleep, what time you can eat, what time you can wash your ass as a grown man. Y'all get an attitude with the chick you mess with when she asks you what you doing too late at night when you ain't with her. But you want another person, you want another man telling you what to do in there all day, every day. That's where a lot of y'all going, man. With the things y'all put on social media. I won't speak on no personal names and no personal specific names of people in the city who do certain things on the internet. But goddamn y'all going, man. And it's going to be I don't want to say it's going to be a sad day when you go, but it's just going to be a lot of what the fuck did he think was going to happen at this point. You know what I'm saying? You're incriminating yourself. I thought that was against human nature, self-harm. It's just self-harm.
Isn't that the problem though?
And what you said was
against nature.
Yeah, you're going against. That's what I'm saying. That's how I know it's forced. You're doing this it's not that you can't help doing this, yo. That is not human nature to naturally hurt yourself. You are going out of your way to do this. And why? Ask yourself. I know there's also been studies that say that, social media likes boost the same things in your body that dope does. I mean, that heroin does. It boosts dopamine levels. Of course, not to the level of heroin. But people get a high from going back. How often do you, after uploading a picture to social media, how often do you go to your notifications page and refresh that page within the first 10 minutes? You chasing that high. And chasing that high, man, got a lot of people going out bad. I know we've all seen the classic case of the story where a person posts a picture and it didn't get the amount of love that they thought it was going to get. They take the picture down and repost it at a different time that same day. Rather than just letting the likes accumulate throughout the day, they didn't get the immediate gratification. And by way of not getting the immediate gratification, say, yeah, let me chalk this John for a second. And mind you, this is a picture of them sitting there just showing off their sneakers or something. This is not a flyer to promote a product of theirs or an event of theirs or a righteous cause that they're putting out there. This is literally just a person like, yo, man, I wanted them to see my lay. I thought my caption slapped. Usually when they put it back up too, they change the caption. The caption didn't. They're like, yeah, I know I fucked them up with the picture. The caption didn't get them though. I gotta bring it back. So it's just, man, I'm concerned, man. I'm concerned because this younger generation, man, they're impressionable. And this is the impression that we giving them, man. I think I was lucky to be. I think my generation was the last outside generation. I'm talking about really outside, and I'm not talking about outside in the terms that they use now. Like, I'm around, I'm out here, I'm in these clubs, I'm being seen. No, I'm talking about the generation that rather been me and me and my brothers are from that era where my mom and like moms of this era would give their kid the option, yo, you can take this ass whooping and go back outside, or you can go to your room where you had a video game, where you had a TV. Yo, man. I know in me and my brother's cases, 10 times out of 10, we took the ass whooping and went back outside. You back out there sniffling and everything. People laughing at you, but you know what you're about to do with them? Go play ball. Go play man. Go do whatever it is that you do. But you rabid at that. Yo, man, you got to force these kids out the house. Yo, man, people, don't let that phone and that iPad raise your kid. Put your kid in some activities, man. If you not going to do the job, your job right now that I'm advising you to do is put your kid around somebody that's going to invest the time in them that you're not going to invest in them. I definitely don't see my kid as much as I want to. By way of my kid being busy, one. By way of me trying to get things together so that I can take care of things on a higher scale for her when she gets to an age where I know she's going to need more. But there are people out here with organizations, with clubs, with different things that are 100% centered around these kids and giving these kids something to do with their time outside of school and not having, and that phone is away during those activities. Not letting that phone and that internet raise them, man. Yo, these people who your kids look up to on this TikTok and things like that are corporate whores. They are being paid by people, big dollars, to push an agenda, to push a product. And the phone that you letting raise your kid, do you know what it is doing in turn? It is draining your pocket because you going to pick up that fucking product. You are taking your kid to Target. You are going on Amazon. You are going online. You are buying your kid the thing that some complete and total stranger told them was lit. But that's what's going to happen with that. They look up to CJ so cool more than they look up to you. And I don't remember some of the older people that my daughter used to watch and things like that. And, also by way of them getting older, they grow out of certain people, they think they corny. But then they move on to the next one. And it's going to be the next one and the next one. Like, listen. Go get your money. I'm not knocking this, but it's people now who just want 100% want to be influencers. Like, that's what they want to do for a living. I want to be an influencer because I see that they make this amount of dollars a day or a year off this platform. And it's detailed breakdowns of this stuff, and people aspire to be that. But it's like, to be an influencer, I thought you had to be influential. Come on, man. Don't give me.
It is a follower account.
Yes, it's based on a follower count, and that number. Now they think a follower account is directly aligned with influence. So what do we have now? We have people who are buying followers and different things like that. And that, I remember in the age that worked. I remember the early coming of the influencer culture. We used to be in here.
We have to blame ourselves because it really came down to like nobody wanted to be the first one to like it.
Yeah, nobody wanted to be
follow somebody back if you only have so many followers. Mm-hmm. I remember going back and being like, always having to have the balance of being like, I need to have less people that I'm following that follow me.
Yeah, he's all. If y'all can't hear him, he's just talking about the ratios and different things like that. And back then, it was more thought out. Now it's just so the norm. People don't even have to think about it. It's just how it goes. Like I can't be following 3,000 motherfuckers if only 3,000 people follow me. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? I remember the days. I remember the days when these things were like open air conversations, and now it don't even need to be talked about. It don't need to be talked about because it's It's the norm. Like, it ain't too many people I know who are supposed to be quote unquote somebody who follow nearly as many people who follow them. Now, mind you, some of them are actually influential people, and some of the people that follow them are complete strangers. So naturally, in certain cases, it's not going to be that. But it's some people who are literally only not following people back to keep that ratio. Do you know when that ratio matters? When you're actually someone and you're actually going to be going into something to monetize your social media and things like that, and people start looking at numbers like that. But for them, it's just some measure of cool. And it's not that. Yeah, I remember I used to make a conscious effort to keep the amount of people I follow below 1,000, right? But it was an exact reason for it. I'm a geek. It was down to a science. In the earlier forms of Instagram, once you followed over 1,000 people, it made it harder for you to find your followers when you were searching for them. When you were trying to find a name, when you just typed in like a D and it brings up every D name early on in that literally messed up once you followed over 1,000 people. So I made a conscious effort to do so. But I also remember, Scott, I hope you remember this because it was a conversation we had. 2013 maybe. I think I had 600 followers. Mm-hmm. I said, yo, it was just because, it wasn't 2013. 2013 was the year Instagram launched the beta or went past the beta and went into, 2013 was the Instagram beta. 2013 was the Instagram beta when it was only available for iOS. Mm-hmm. This was 2014. I think I had like 400 followers. And someone's like, yo, well, everybody, how do you only have 4,000 followers? I'm like, I'm not making an effort to get followers. Like, if you follow me, you follow me. I said, you know what? And, we got into a conversation. I'm like, it's easy to get followers. If I wanted to do things to get followers, if I wanted to sensationalize something, and I was like, I don't even have to sensationalize nothing. I said, I could easily get to 1,000 followers. And someone said, you can't easily get to 1,000 followers. I said, I can easily get to 1,000 followers. Mm-hmm. Where are we at like 3 months later?
Yeah, well above it.
Well above it. And I'm like, he's like, how is that possible when you had this for over a year that you have 400?
You didn't try.
So I didn't try. Didn't care. Didn't care enough to try. It just wasn't that. And once you really are doing something worth being followed for, people coming to find you. People coming to find you.
Absolutely.
I know I get new followers every day now. By way of just being certain places. Mostly now I see it being places on my bike. Being tagged in certain pictures by certain people who they find interesting. They want to know why this person knows me or why this person finds me interesting. It's confusing, but it's what it is. It's the nature of the beast. But we got to break out of that. And if we don't break out of that, we are in trouble. Now, let me also say, I don't see us breaking out of it anytime soon. It's not trending that way. People are making more and more money through these platforms, or at least giving off the perception that they're making more and more money through these platforms. And a person's perception is their reality. If a person thinks this is what this person makes, why can't I do that? They're going to channel, if they're a determined person, unfortunately easily influenced, but if they're a determined person, they are going to now put their energy into trying to do that or be some form of that. And this is what our kids growing up seeing, y'all. Like, we looked up to some people and things like that. We didn't really, all right, so for what it's worth, when we stepped in, I didn't get Facebook, I want to say, until 10th, 11th grade. But before that, they had MySpace for at least like a year. Scotty, correct me if I'm wrong. Did we look up the Tom or look up the Mark Zuckerberg?
No.
No, right?
No. I mean,
they're richer than any of those. They're richer than any of these influencers.
It was more or less about like understanding what they did and how they did it than anything else. It was
yeah.
Respecting Did a little treachery. And
Right, but we weren't really looking into these guys' lives. I mean, before the Social Network movie came out, and that was just because the story of how Facebook really took off was so polarizing. If you knew it, that it would have been stupid for them not to make a movie about it.
The way people address Bezos and Musk is wild to me because I'm like, I'm still the same person, so I don't care.
Right,
You know,
but
I still people do it.
The two names you just brought up are perfect for what I'm talking about. We didn't look at Tom and Mark Zuckerberg the way that we look at Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk because it wasn't the era of influencer.
You're right. There it is.
Like, it just was. There were people who were filthy, filthy rich then who weren't celebrities. Because of celebrity now, Elon way more than Jeff Bezos. Jeff Bezos his face is thrown on everything because of the juggernaut that is Amazon and his net worth. How often do you actually see Jeff on something talking? You see Jeff's face thrown on something every single time the valuation for fucking Amazon rises, or every time Amazon stock rises. His face is thrown out there to attach something because having Jeff Bezos' face on something is a little more appealing for a magazine cover or an article's feature picture than having the Amazon logo. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? If we being real about it. But Elon's a little different because he's a genius. He's a genius and he's a creator. So he gets out there because he wants you to know this is what I'm doing next.
Wait, we had a guy.
We had a guy?
Steve Jobs.
Jobs was Elon then.
Yeah.
Jobs was Elon then.
He was the only one.
So we had one. But we had one.
We didn't fuck with Bill Gates like that.
No, we ain't fuck with Bill.
Yeah,
Bill had Bill had his stuff going on. Then it turned out that Bill was a freak too. But nonetheless, we did have the Elon at that time was Steve Jobs. And when Steve Jobs was trying to be that, motherfuckers called him crazy. Called him, didn't take away from the fact that he was a genius. But they said he was crazy. Some people call Elon crazy too. But the way that he was viewed is not the way that Steve Jobs was viewed. Because it's just the different scope in which we view people now with money. If you have money, just being honest. If you decide, there's a celebrity ecosystem right now for fringe celebrities. And when I say fringe celebrities, a lot of these people are known by way of being the ex of a certain celebrity or an acquaintance of a certain celebrity. Right now, the incubator for getting them famous, the incubator for that, when somebody sees that person, they're like, maybe I could do something with them. Maybe they can be the guy or the girl. You know what they do? They throw them on fucking reality TV. They put them in your face at least once a week for an hour. So that you can say, oh, so it's like, besides the fact that she was Rob Kardashian's daughter, what was the thing that put Kim Kardashian into the spotlight? She hung with Paris Hilton on Paris Hilton's reality TV show. It's 100% what it was. Nobody gave a fuck about them being Rob Kardashian kids. And they were loaded. If you go look up what Rob Kardashian left behind that family, it was a lot of money. But they flipped it. She became semi-known for being with Paris Hilton, became even more known for the Ray J sex tape. I won't dive too deep into that. But she flipped it and they changed the model of reality TV. And now they're one of the richest families in this country. They were already in the 1%. Now, them as a family, there probably ain't families that you can name on two hands. There's definitely not families you can name on two hands that have more money than them in this country. Because of the times we live in. I say this, man, I've never wanted to be, I want to be influential to the people who I want to affect. But on the overall, I don't want certain levels of attention. I have come to understand in certain years that ain't up for me to say. I have realized now I'm going to get a certain level of attention anyway. I'm a person that say what they mean. Not to gas myself, I am a person that some people think is cool. By way of me just being me, regardless of who I'm around, the people who I have exposure to, and not, deviating from who I am by way of who I'm around. And people value that. Some people do. People with integrity value that. So you don't know who's watching you. But in the case of people like that, they're going to capitalize off the fact that people who I don't know are watching me. I can really tell them what I want. Or I can put out there the image of myself that I want them to view me as. Yo, social media helps a lot of y'all create yourself and or recreate yourself. And some people did it in a great way. Yo, man, shout out to a great friend of mine, Pastor Carl Day. Brother's very transparent about his journey. So, man, wasn't doing some of the right things in life. Some serious street stuff. Went to jail for it. Came home. Found God. Found his woman. And doing things now at a ridiculous level as far as doing the right thing and pushing to be an agent of change to get other people to do the right thing. On the mayor's council, got to fucking sit in a town hall during COVID and question Trump. To that level. You can use these vessels for good if good is what you want. And I'll say this. Most people I know who really, really, really want money, they don't want good. They want what's for the good of them. So when you want what's for the good of you, you're willing to do. When you want what's for the good of you monetarily, you're willing to do nasty shit to get money. And once you make that decision, which is a firm decision, it's not too many people I know who have made that decision who have ever turned back from it. Wherever they failed or succeeded, they lived that way or are living that way now on. I know people who on to the next scam, who on to the next scam, on to the next scam, who done fucked over friends, who done scammed family, and can still sleep at night. Who still let their day during the day. You know what they do in reference to that person who they did dirty, who they supposedly love? They screen their calls now. You know what I mean? Hopefully when I see him, this is January. Hopefully when I see him at Auntie crib at Thanksgiving, they don't punch me in my fucking mouth. You know what I'm saying? I'll take their temperature when I walk in that joint, see if they speak to me. Speak back to me. I'm going to speak to them. You know what I'm saying? Even though now I done got them to sign some shit and basically just performed identity theft on my cousin for me to get a quick $5,000 or something. And now they indebted. I don't even know what they indebted, but I know I made my $5,000.
It's crazy, man, because, Kanye still ain't get over that laptop.
No. Come on, man. For what it's worth, right? For a lot of the things that I say that might make it seem like I have not given up on people as a whole. Because I know some really, really thorough folks, man. And I know everybody isn't this way. But I will say, I know now why so many people who I know, man, I had a person who I looked up to a lot as a kid, man, was just getting into different shit and really said he wanted to change his life around. And he moved to Texas in the early 2000s. He never moved back here. Never moved back here. I see this person maybe once every year and a half to 2 years, man. When people really want to be happy, I realize now there's a lot of things that people claim they want to do that they could be much more successful doing it somewhere else than in Philadelphia and they will not do it. You know why? They don't necessarily want to do that thing. They want to do that thing in Philadelphia because they want to be seen as cool here amongst motherfuckers that they think are cool. That ain't success. It's not success. You know, when the people I know who are successful business owners, you know when their business took off? When complete and total strangers came and cashed out for the product. They bought into the product, not into the person. And that was a start. And then once you buy into the product and the person, you out of here. You out of here. But you gotta have the goods first. People want to sell you on the face first and then sell you a shitty product. I've seen so many people start businesses, whether it been clothing and things like that, and give you a super shit product to start off and want you to just support it because it's them. And then they're like, yeah, I can build my way up and build my way up and build my way up. Yo, this start off strong early with lesser quantities of it. If you already have the vision, you have the idea, why not come out of the gate strong? Just wait. Yo, if you wait, what's stopping you from waiting? You haven't put the thing out there yet. So there is no expectation and or standard out there. Why not have the standard be through the roof when you start? That's why I waited so long to start a podcast. Because I didn't want to record the shit out of my room on my phone. I wanted to do it in the studio. I wanted to do it with proper equipment. I wanted to do it with a proper engineer. And I'm a person with some rudimentary knowledge of how to record sound. Come out the gate strong. And you know what's going to do that? Proper planning. I said last episode, the good things in life, you got to fucking plan for. We got to start planning. We got to start planning how we're going to come out of some of this stuff that we see that's wrong with society right now. With the things that's going to be molding our kids other than us. We got to start planning. We got to start figuring it out and getting it right. That's what I thought you should know today. Thought You Should Know podcast, Deeq be knowing. Episode 2 in the books. Holla at y'all.